Why does everyone think the economy is in shambles in this subreddit? Why do so many people in this subreddit think the economy is in shambles? We have a 50-year record low unemployment, and our GDP has risen faster than all the other first world nations. Inflation is back down to 3. My 401k is making 14 returns. Yeah, sure, all those corporations did shrinkflation at the onset of the pandemic and raised prices on goods, but they always try shit like that, and they are never going to start making bigger Gatorade bottles again or put back in that 5 ounces of chips. That shit is sealed. But that is corporate greed like usual. Anecdotally, extremely high cost of living, rent, mortgage, car insurance, groceries, price hikes virtually everywhere. Wages haven't really kept up. Think most of the market is smoke and mirrors and resembles the run-up during coronavirus to me. People are poor. Well, the fastest rate hike in history and rates not seen since 2000 might have something to do with it. We climb until they hold rates and we'll fall once something finally breaks. Who knows when that is, but being cautious isn't a bad thing. YOLOing puts is. Also, rates have only been actually high for like 6 months. Give it time, eventually people won't want to finance that new car or boat or whatever the next big purchase at that big rate. Then we slow and layoffs and downsizing will start happening and unemployment will go up. We live in a time of Netflix and Amazon. Everyone expects everything now, including stonks up or stonks down. Have you looked at housing costs in 2019? And looked at housing costs now? Great. Now look at wage growth for the same time frame. Pretty simple. Because most people's total net worth is plummeting or going in the negative. This will cause less spending, which means less revenue for companies, which means layoffs and or bankruptcies. The markets are doing what they're doing as money sloshes around looking for a way to stay alive. I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I think it has to do with the fact that like 60% of the country is living paycheck to paycheck and is hanging on by a thread. If you're in that 40% that isn't, then you might not realize how difficult it currently is for that 60%. If you're hanging out on Wall Street bets, you're either in a really good economic position, rich, or a really bad economic position, Wendy's worker. I think we think it's artificially inflated and manipulated because we live here. Prior to the dot-com bubble and Great Recession, housing bubble, and pretty much most recessions, the economy was perceived as doing great. Why some don't understand, things go in cycles, boom bust, instead of thinking the party will never end. Most of WSB is relatively young. The younger generations have been the ones getting the short end of the stick in this economy. It also takes a certain type of desperation to gamble so willingly. I work in a wholesale store. The business is very slow. Our customer don't want to take so much merchandise cause it can't sell. I can still keep my job this year. However, next year I am going to lose my job. Even though my store still survive. The life still tough because the goods are so expensive. We can't afford a house. There's hopeless in life. I rather the economy collapse and start over. Right now I'm only dying slow by slow. A lot of companies that have been profitable historically, even during downtimes, like fucking DGR fucking nuking on bad earnings and guidance revisions. Credit delinquencies going up, just cause envida at aths means diddly squat for average Joe. Because the economy is trash and the Fed is lying. It's not in shambles yet, but credit card debt is starting a default cycle, rates are through the roof. Home prices aren't responding the decade's low demand. China and EU are FKD. And student loans are about to come due. So there is potential danger on the horizon. Because a lot of people think the market is the economy. And they also let the movement of price drive their emotions. They'll be on top of the world when the market's up Monday, and depressed and bleak when they're down on Friday. Literally just walking emotional roller coasters with gambling addictions and really no clue what they're doing, and a lack of understanding of a lot of investing and business concepts. Goes hand in hand with Dunning-Kruger effect, pretty much driven by ignorance. Consumer spending makes up 70% of GDP, so it's a normal reaction. Not only is it normal, it's valid. None of the number you presented mean anything to the day-to-day of the consumer or ordinary people. There are so many comments here explaining why you are reductive. But what you are saying is also valid. More than one thing can be true at once. As a result, even though the economy is good, it is uncertain, which is not good. And someone who is clearly as smart as you doesn't need self-fulfilling prophecies explained to them. 'Cause it goes up before it plunges. Never seen Titanic? Seriously? Do you follow consumer credit defaults, housing inflation, or any other meaningful data? Do you even do your own grocery shopping? It's not in shambles. But it's not looking growth positive either. Stuff costs more, money is worth less bad. This sub is full of young idiots. People are sad and lonely. Because the stock market is not a good indicator of economic health. That, and there is a propaganda war on Reddit on good bad news on the economies of the US and China. The economy is doing fine. Everything costs more and people have less buying power. That's why people think the economy is in shambles. Have you seen our leader? Rainbow Bear, S. Being a perma-bear allowed me to grow a few extra chromosomes, pal. Op is making the same mistake as the people he is criticizing, assuming that the way things are for him are the way things are for everybody. Take off the blinders and gain some perspective beyond yourself. Because doom and gloom sells. People love it. There are $100,000 a year jobs out there that they can't find enough workers for. Will it require you to work outside or in a mine or possibly move to a new location? Why, yes, it will, just like people have always done, to follow the opportunity to better themselves. If you're trying to buy a home by working a minimum wage job in a major population center, you're going to struggle, and that's no different than it's ever been either. 'Cause Doritos like $6 a bag. Tired. The news and social media told them bad things. Debt. Because they are angry about having to pay student loans again. This economy is horrific. It's been god-awful and getting worse for the past 3 years. Everyone not making six figures or struggling like they've never struggled before. Sir, this a casino? Everyone here is the guy with a sign shouting that the end is near while wearing an aluminum hat. Bears' puts aren't printing, so they cope by projecting their failures and stupidity onto the world at large. 4 weeks ago everyone was bullish. Ignore the idiots here. Because most people that gamble are contrarian by nature and will impulsively inverse the sentiment immediately at the beginning of a bull-bear run. Then when the sentiment flips, so do they. They are the people who have that talent for buying the exact top and selling the exact bottom. Lots of high earners are unemployed right now. The tech layoffs were massive. It's a silent recession in this. This one has hit white-collar workers hard. The jobs that are available do not pay well compared to what was lost. Because they don't work and look at Reddit all day. Coping for personal finance failures. Because the same people that argued and swore blind Evergrande was going to collapse the world economy live here. GDP and unemployment numbers mean nothing when those numbers are driven by cheap credit and deficit spending. It is I am an economic historian. Bro, we haven't had these conditions since pre-1930.